Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much to the Vermont Studio Center. Thank you to everyone out in the audience who's joining us today on this Thursday evening. We are so thrilled to be able to have this virtual launch event for issue 43.3. I'm a little blurry, so I might have to cover my face with it so you can see it. But it is a gorgeous issue, as gorgeous as it is on the outside as it is on the inside. 188 pages of literary excellence. In my excitement around the issue, I didn't even introduce myself yet. I am the managing editor of the New England Review. My name is Leslie Sines. I started with New England Review last December, so we're coming up on a year. And it's just been so extraordinary to usher in the publication of these, again, exceptional literary voices. So thank you again for joining us. You can absolutely get your hands on this issue by subscribing or ordering a copy. And we also have online preview selections on our website, which is just nereview.com. So you can take a sneak peek into other contributors to 43.3 in addition to hearing the amazing selections that you'll hear tonight. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our editor, Carolyn Keebler.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to this is actually the first time we've done a virtual launch for the New England Review. So it's pretty cool. And we're really excited that Sarah decided to invite us to join her because she's a super pro at this kind of thing and has been doing lots of virtual events with Vermont Studio Center. So thank you, Sarah. I just want to point out that I saw J.M. Tyree in the audience. He is our nonfiction editor. So maybe at the end of this, he can mute himself and say hello. I think I also saw some other writers from the issue joining us. So thank you for coming. It's good to see you. It's fun because I spend so much time with the text and I feel that I know all of the writers in the issue so well, but I have no idea what they sound like, what they look like. So this is always an interesting experience to kind of bring it alive and get face to screen to face, or however you would describe this situation. So I'm going to introduce our first reader. Our readers are going to be going in the order of T.R. Brady, Da-Lin, Jim Aderibigbe, Iris Law, and then Katie Moulton. So first is going to be T.R. Brady. T.R. Brady is a poet and fiber artist. Their work has appeared in Poetry Daily, Denver Quarterly, Bennington Review, and Copper Nickel. T.R. holds an MFA from the Iowa Writers Workshop and is the co-founder and co-editor of Afternoon Visitor, a new journal of poetry and hybrid text. So TR, take it away.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me at this reading and having my work in this beautiful, beautiful issue. Yeah, so the two poems that I'll be reading today are from a longer series that I'm working on called Tea Daydream. Yeah, so here are two of those. Tea Daydream. I was so lonely in the real dream. I washed all of Lindsay's forks and none of mine. There was no meal to be had, dream hunger turning me inside out, dream water running all over the counter. I am so not rare. There's only an incomplete number of me. The coin behind my ear, up my sleeve. The coin I'm referencing both sides of. The pentacles playing out poorly. I daydream the real dream, dream Kate holding my shoulders in the waterless pool, dream James holding my face in an unfamiliar city. The dream where I'm in love with each facsimile of me, where I'm my own happy little house husband, something that feels gigantic, a tiny cut in the join of a mouth. Tea Daydream. At the house party, I was a depressed convert. In the inaccurate hour, I take the house apart, a keystroke to a dream. At the house party, I coveted your leather cap and you in it. I had no hereafter body. Outside, I stood beyond the yellow square of light coming from inside the house. I map my desire for desire. I stray in the dream of the house party. I take myself apart. Not a good fight. It was Thursday in fall, and I didn't go to the reading, but I went to the after party. I copy paste you to every room. I try to not notice you. In real time, I walk up near you and change course. I put no clues to you. I wrong myself to a slight shape and slip out every crack. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, TR. I have the pleasure of introducing our next reader, Da-Lin. Da-Lin explores time, death, and cultural clashes in her fiction with a dash of weird. She grew up in Asia, grew again in North America, and is now experiencing growing pains once more in her third and probably not final continent of Europe. She has won the PEN America Emerging Voices Fellowship and the James Kirkwood Literary Award. Her works in progress include a multi-generational mystery novel spanning 100 years of Taiwanese history, a short story collection, and a nonfiction book about the pursuit of nirvana. Please join me in welcoming Da-Lin.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Lisbon, Portugal. It's past midnight here, so my gown had turned into rags. So we'll see what happens. All right, so this is the beginning of the story that appeared in this issue. Treasure Island Alley. The morning women are howling. Even with fingers in her ears, Shen hears their loud cry from that big white tent that appeared overnight in the alley. On tiptoe, she peers over the windowsill and looks down 3 stories to the long line of people holding incense sticks outside the tent. They were here to pay their respect, they said. Her mama had died last night giving birth to a baby, a sister, they said. Her sister would come home, but her mama would not, they said. But Shen had her own ideas. She's in Grandma's bedroom, the smell of old clothes, spittoon under the bed. She's in her family's apartment building, 58 Hoping Street, Taipei, Taiwan. Mama made her memorize their address on her 5th birthday a month ago, when Mama and Papa took a rare day off from the family's factory and brought her to the zoo, where Mama got so angry that they came home early after Shen strayed from the peacocks and without telling anyone went searching for the bears. Cupping fingers around her eyes, Shen pretends to scan Grandma's bedroom with binoculars. The target is the top drawer of the dresser by the bed, where Grandma hides money. She notices for the first time a hole high up on the ceiling. Next year, a bird will fly through the window into that hole, and even after Papa opens a big chunk of the plaster, he won't find the bird. It will take 3 days for the bird's song to die, which Shen will remember years later when she is old and has forgotten almost everything. The dresser is 2-3 times her height. She plucks one hair off her pigtails and blows it afloat to invoke her favorite of Monkey King's 72 transformations, size enhancement. Then she breathes slow and hard and waits for her legs and arms to grow. Long minutes pass. Nothing. She has to watch again how her fabled hero does it on TV in her favorite cartoon, but there's no time now. She swings one leg over the ledge of Grandma's bed, then another, like a frog, like the fat, stubby frog that managed to climb out of an aluminum bowl in her kitchen, where Grandma has been cooking all morning for the relatives. But no, Grandma flicks the frog down with her spatula. Where are you going? The wok's ready. Shen climbs on the mahogany headboard and then leans out to pull on the dresser's top drawer. Grudgingly, it opens, heavy and squeaky, like a pirate's trunk full of treasures. She ignores the gold earrings and jade bracelets and zooms in on the red envelope. Inside is a stack of Taiwanese dollar bills. Someone shouts in the stairwell, "Papa." "Ma, the feng shui master is here." Papa thumbs up the stairs and Grandma's slippers pada-pada, and then they are talking right outside the bedroom door. Shen grabs the envelope and lands on the comforter, wiggles between the pillows, tries to hide. She waits and waits and grows old. When she's 15, she will give her virginity to a boy who makes her laugh. At 21, she will move to the United States to study biochemistry. She will change her name to Susan and settle in Silicon Valley, and for 2 decades, her startup will be her life. She will marry a white man with a boyish grin and a linebacker's gait, Alex, a venture capitalist. After their divorce, she will become a staunch atheist in search of a religion. At a Silicon Valley meditation boot camp, she will write down everything she knows about her mother on 1 page with room to spare. On the last day of her life, when she is 105, she will lie in her deathbed with her second husband by her side, and she will feel lucky despite the sadness that is just beneath the surface of everything. Time escapes from her fingers and hops, skips, jumps. It's not that difficult, really. You wiggle a little and you're there in a different crevice of time. You close your eyes to the kid in the mirror and open to a face full of wrinkles. You lie down beside your lover, your cheek brushing against the pillow, and there you are again, 5 years old, hiding, waiting. Finally, Papa thumbs down the stairs and Grandma passed back to the kitchen. Shen shoves the red envelope in her Monkey King backpack and opens the bedroom door slit. Heat rushes in. Down the hall, Grandma's silhouette shifts in and out of dense smoke. The aromas of 3-cup frogs and twice cooked pork creep downstairs to their factory and drift upstairs to their roof deck, where they keep a German shepherd going insane with old age. Just yesterday morning, Mama waddled up to the roof deck when Shen was riding her new pink bike and Grandma was hanging bed sheets out to dry. The dog pawed at Mama, almost tearing her favorite blue dress, which clung to her thin frame and swollen belly. Mama handed Grandma the red envelope. Ma, for this week. Grandma frowned. How am I supposed to live on this? Perhaps you should stop shopping at Japan imports and layaways. Mama rubbed the half-moon shadow under her eyes. You blame me? The factory's broke only after you marry my son because you don't know how to manage money. Shen tried to get Mama's attention by riding the bike with no hands, but Mama was already stumping down the stairs and yelling, if you want more money, why don't you go earn it like those girls at Treasure Island Alley? And Grandma was shouting, how dare you? I curse that you fall into that hell. The dog pounced and Shen flipped over, taking down the clothesline. Why is Mama so bad? She said after Grandma pulled her out of the tangle. Good kid, was all Grandma replied, her face glaring like red-hot coal. Shen doesn't miss Mama, who never wanted to play, always hunched over a book filled with black lines and red ink. But Mama must have left because Shen sided with Grandma. On TV, Shen has watched Monkey King fight the Lord of Hell to bring people back to life, even erasing his name from the book of life expectancy to become immortal. If Treasure Island Alley is hell, she will go there to bring Mama back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Da-Lin. Now, everybody's going to need to read the rest of the story, which will continue to hop around in time like that, which is really magical. So thank you. And thank you, TR, as well. That was quite beautiful. It's great to hear them aloud. So our next reader is going to be DM Aderibigbe. DM's debut book, How the End First Showed, won the Brittingham Prize in Poetry and a Florida Book Award, and was a finalist for the Glenna Luschei Prize for African Poets. He's the recipient of a 2022-2023 Artist Fellowship from the Mississippi Arts Commission and other fellowships from the Sewanee Writers Conference, the James Merrill House, Ledig House, Ucross, Jentel, and Boston University. His poems have appeared in The Nation, Ploughshares, and elsewhere. He's an assistant professor in the Center for Writers at the University of Southern Mississippi. Welcome, DM.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the New England Review and the Vermont Studio Center for putting this together. And thank you to my fellow readers and everyone for joining us. So the poem I'll be reading today is from a collection I'm working on that sort of like explores colonialism through the eyes of the colonialist and the colonized. And this poem in particular is about the naming of my native country, Nigeria. And also alludes to how the British colonialists, arrived in Nigeria. So it's titled Christening an Abyssinian. Aframamum, black-eyed bean, cocoa bean, buried in sacks in the cargo hold. Columbite, gold, pegmatite, tantalite, dragged onto the lower decks. Every single day, a crowded ship sailed from the coast of Lagos to Bristol. Grenade, gone, 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 gunpowder, got. How did anyone think we made the Africans dig in the sun, sow in the rain, reap in the sun? Joining each man was his wife and children. Kids old enough to walk joined in. Later, each man, under the control of another man, controlled his family to fill the sacks. Nigeria, Sudan, West African Guinea. Of all names that swam to the bank of my mind, I had the pleasure of coming up with the names. These three, quite frankly, stood out like stars. For a real estate property, any of those names sounds about fine. In the end, I settled for the one I coined last. Nigeria. Bible, mirror, umbrella, verse. We arrived bearing gift, knowing very well what they wanted, what we wanted. We arrived sharing gift, knowing what we wanted, killing xenophobia top on the list. For a full year, we did this. Then we attacked. Lion, lioness, zeal, zeal, zebra, 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 zilch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deanne. That poem is available to look at online as well on our website, and give it its form, The Abecedarian. I highly recommend y'all go check it out and see just kind of how masterful it is and its execution. Up next, we have the amazing Iris A. Law. Iris A. Law is a poet, editor, and educator living in the San Francisco Bay Area. A Kundiman Fellow whose poems have appeared in journals such as Hyphen, Menagerie, and Waxwing, and are anthologized in They Rise Like a Wave, an anthology of Asian American women poets. She is also co-founder and editor of the literary magazine Lantern Review. Her chapbook, Periodicity, was published by Finishing Line Press in 2013. Please welcome Iris A. Law.
Thank you so much, Leslie, and thank you, Carolyn and Jen, who as well, for the opportunity to be in New England Review. What a huge honor. Thank you so much to my fellow readers tonight, and also to Sarah and to Vermont Studio Center too. I'm really excited to be here. So the poem that I'm going to be reading is a poem from a series, a manuscript that I'm working on. A little bit of a content warning in case it's a sensitive subject for some of you. I'm going to be talking about parental death. This is a manuscript about losing my father in 2010. My father was a scientist, and so what I'm doing in this poem is playing a little bit with the language of the way that he lived his world in terms of kind of his science notebooks and the reports and the peer-reviewed articles he'd write, the grant reports, and my language as well, which is the language of poetry and lyricism, and also of English grammar. I think I wasn't thinking about how my way of speaking about my father changed as well over the years after he passed. Experimental method. Tense fluidity is/was. Hypothesis. To grieve is to be perforated with stars. You're full of black holes. You make and unmake time like the wrinkled gray cover that won't stay on your duvet, the buttons all popped off, the mouth a big gash from which a stained cloud spills. A year or 10. Light leaks out the other end. You learn to love your lacerations. You forget that others are not used to them, your perforated grammar of between. The verb evaporates, fishy and soft. Your tongue forgets, forges a new rule. In your mind, is and was have always been a pair of merging fuel trails twisting into the irregular night. Method 1. Practice sliding into the present perfect. Like breaking in a pair of stiff patent shoes. My father is becomes has-beens, should eventually become was. My father is the inspiration for this poem. My father has had cancer, is a chemist. My father finds, no, has found, did find? The conjugation suddenly so difficult. You used to read his grant reports to catch the wrong verbs. Prior to this investigation, the researchers has previously studied. You'd circle the has in bright teal ink. Forgive us our past perfect tenses. Had bounces around in the airlock. All those helping verbs bang bluntly against the dock at the back of the brain. 2. You do not mean to lie when you say that your parents live in New Jersey. One of them still does, it's true, but your mom still keeps his green canvas duck hat in the closet at the foot of the stairs. His books tucked away on a top shelf in the office. Analytical chemistry, molecular genetics, the 5 people you meet in heaven, the pipette pens from Roche, ACS tote bags, guitar strings still scattered among the kitchen drawers, the distinctions suddenly milky. You tell people, live, let the bad verbs stay. 3. These things come in threes. The 3 little pigs build a straw house. The 3 deaths came within 3 months. Your father's was the first. Nick's grandfather, then Daniel, the benediction. 3 radial tesserings, manifold of was and is to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Iris. That was so moving. Thinking about such things myself with my elderly parents, and I find the use of grammar so it's such a fresh way to use it. So thank you for that. And thank you also, Diam. It's a gorgeous poem. So our next readers and last reader is going to be Katie Moulton. Katie Moulton is the author of the memoir Dead Dad Club. Her writing appears in Sewanee Review, Oxford American, The Believer, Electric Literature, No Depression, and elsewhere. Her work has been supported by fellowships from McDowell, Breadloaf, Art Omi, Jurassic, Tin House, and other organizations. From St. Louis, she lives in Baltimore. Please welcome Katie Moulton.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yeah, wow, that was so beautiful. I really loved hearing everyone's work, and just a huge thank you to Carolyn and Leslie. It's such an honor to be in the pages of New England Review. Means a lot. So thanks for having me. I'm going to skip around a little bit in the beginning of the essay that is in the new and gorgeous issue. This is called The Elvis Room. Mama is digging through a cabinet, looking for a spare picture frame, when she pulls out a cassette tape in its see-through case. She hands it to me. I thought this was lost forever, I say, turning it over. You can have it, she says and smiles, then goes on rummaging. The cassette tape is beige, affixed with a generic label that looks like it's been soaked in tea. 2 lines at the top. Next to title, it says, My Way. Next to artist, someone misspelled my last name before correcting it with Sharpie. The tape coiled inside is mostly bright yellow, which means the recording is short. There's a lot of space left on the tape. On a road trip in 1978, my parents stopped in Memphis on a 100-degree summer day to pay their respects at Graceland. They were 22 and 23, already married a couple years. Elvis Presley's humble mansion wasn't yet open to the public, but there were souvenir shops set up across the street. The strip mall is still there today, billed as the official Graceland outlet, much of its parking lot reserved for employees of the new Presley Exhibition Center / entertainment complex. But in '78, my parents pulled over on suburban Elvis Presley Boulevard and browsed the shoddy postcards and teddy bears, and then walked into a storefront called Graceland Recording Studio. My dad stepped into the booth, which was just a small closet lined with cast-off carpet and insulation. Inside, his head bumping against the ceiling, he put on headphones, aimed his voice at a microphone, and made his own Elvis record. In our house, Elvis Presley always got a bigger room than I did. To be fair, my parents had him first. The king of rock and roll is the many-headed icon of a shrine that still fills a large room in the lower level of Mama's house. The walls are a kaleidoscope of Presley's face, calendars, clocks, spoons, Elvis in leather, Elvis in rhinestones, Elvis on wood, long-lashed velvet Elvises on canvases of every size and crudeness. A glass display case is stocked with porcelain statuettes, karate chop action figures, Elvis is Alive VHS tapes, and a cardboard model of Graceland. For decades, these objects have never moved. Nothing even gets dusted. At the center of the Elvis room is the bust. It doesn't really look like Elvis. The vibe is much more Mary Magdalene in drag. His face is textured like chalk and painted in pastels, and there's a sheen to the black mat of his hair. His parted pink lips curl softly upward. He measures 2 feet tall and 2 feet across at his widest points, where the shoulders of his white plaster jumpsuit jut off in opposite directions. His eyes, a little askew, are as blue as his silk scarf and tilted towards heaven. Blocking his view like a styrene halo is a powder blue lampshade with a trim of burnished gold. The lamp sits at eye level atop a sound system that was state-of-the-art in the 90s, rising from shelves cluttered with CDs. Gold and platinum records checkerboard the walls, their sales award plaques, certified by the Recording Industry Association of America, bestowed on my dad when he managed a Music Land, one in a long defunct chain of record stores. In the 80s, label reps would still fly into record stores to make sure their artists were displayed prominently, persuading managers with tickets and backstage passes. Tucked in front of a Laserdisc player is a framed photo of the time my dad met Lionel Richie backstage somewhere, sometime before I was born. According to the family account, my dad made a joke, to which Lionel Richie exclaimed, "Dave, you knock me out." I don't know what the joke was, but the photo, Richie's expression, is our proof that a moment passed between them. An only child learns early. A lot happened before we showed up. We get absorbed into a society of two. The intimate culture of my parents took root in summer 1975, when they were given $10 tickets to see Elvis perform in the small arena in their hometown. They were 19, too young for Elvis. He had scored his first hits the year they were born. By '75, Elvis was bloated kitsch, both beloved and reviled. Elvis did karate moves and vamped with a cape across the stage, and housewives caught the baby blue scarves he threw into the front row like sweaty sacraments. At the climax of a gospel medley, he looked like he might keel over or implode. America's biggest music star had long been hurtling into his black hole of self-destruction, and everybody knew it. But my dad was curious about what Elvis meant. According to Mama, seeing him live in concert cemented the fascination. He loved his voice. Their friends laughed and asked, "Why would you go see Elvis?" When I ask, Mama says, "We just thought he was beautiful." I haven't heard my dad's voice since I was 16. As far as I know, this tape is the only recording of him that exists. I've heard that the first thing you forget about someone is not their smell or touch or face. There's a difference between types of sensory memories. Our brains are much better at converting visual memory, called iconic, into longer-term storage. We can scan an image and close our eyes and see it still. On demand, I can conjure my dad's face, the particular light of an eye glinting between lashes and cheek, an expression that was never exactly captured in a photograph. But we can't do that with auditory or echoic memory. By definition, the sound is fading, already and always going away. Of course, we would recognize a familiar voice if it somehow returned, snuck up behind us. But after absence, and it's shorter than you think, it's almost impossible to call up another's voice with our own. When I try to imagine my dad's voice, I can only describe it. Versatile, rangy, warm, a voice with an ironic, inviting edge, a voice that instructed, pleaded, reeled. When things were bad, I learned to listen for gradients of lucidity in the give between words, in a garble at the back of the throat. From a note of his voice, I could tell how far gone he was, how drunk, how high, how lost in his own memory, how far from being my dad. But now when I try to hear his voice again, I'm clouded by doubt. Was it pitched higher or lower? Is that laugh his real laugh, or was it forced? Am I just making it up? Perhaps we lose the voice because the voice is not technically a body part, not an entity unto itself. The voice is created when two tiny vocal cords tighten as air pushes through and the tongue, lips, and teeth give form to sound. Voice is a mutation towards need, a trick of evolution totally unique to the capacity of its vehicle. And Elvis was quite a vehicle, container of a supreme voice. Henry Pleasance called it an extraordinary compass. Robert Plant said Elvis created a euphoria within himself, a transfiguration, rafter rattling, a glorious and spasmodic wail, also by turns a hiccup, a come on. Elvis was a baritone and a tenor with a range beyond 2 octaves. The voice is a risk taker, a shapeshifter of emotive forms, a mimic and a thief, filtered through the quirks of self. That voice, recorded, referenced, remixed, endures, an echoic memory the world is not allowed to forget. As soon as Mama hands the tape to me, I want to play it, but I hesitate. Even the highest quality analog tape wasn't built to last. My dad's tape, recorded in '78 at the height of the technology's short heyday, looks as decrepit as the beige strip mall where he made it. What if I stuff this artifact into a tape deck and the mechanism swallows it whole? In online forums, users recount attempts to play old cassettes only to hear the sound of the tape cinching and crinkling. Quote, all of a sudden, it's squeak, squeak, then jam, loop mash city. Sound information on tapes is encoded on magnetic particles, bound within a polyester urethane adhesive. Exposed to heat and humidity, the tapes become sticky and eventually begin to shed pieces of the binding, a condition called sticky shed syndrome. In Orpheus Unglued, ethnomusicologist Dr. Michael Heller writes, quote, in the squealing instant of shed, tape ceases to function as memory. The archive breaks down at the very instant we wish to hear it. He equates this moment of loss with the moment that mythic Orpheus turned back to look at Eurydice, and in doing so, sealed their separation forever. I, in my day, emailed the local photo center to inquire whether they digitize vintage audio, and I play it cool, mentioning it casually that the recording is precious. An employee named Mike assures me they can handle this, but he explains that an old tape might get stuck together, a glitch called crossover, where data seeps between layers so it sounds like 2 tracks playing at once. There might be literal fungus growing on the tape. He writes, just letting you know that it is worth doing because it's precious, but it may not sound like when it was originally recorded. He signs off, we will do what we can, Mike. My head swims. Should I risk destroying the tape in the attempt to hear his voice again? Or is it better to hold on to the tape and preserve its potential as something pure but inaccessible? I mean, what happened to Eurydice after Orpheus almost led her back into the world of the living? When she died a second time, was there even less of her? I mean, look what the world did to Elvis. Look what Elvis did to himself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie, for that tender and affecting reading, which I think is all the more special following Iris's poem as well. It was a kind of spectacular back-to-back, I think. Thank you so much to all of our readers. Can we get one more kind of round of applause for everyone? Yes, just amazing, amazing work. Again, that's just a snippet of the, again, literary excellence that's in 43.3. So definitely pick up your copy as soon as you can. There's so much to pour over and spend really precious time with. So again, please remember to pick up your copy of 43.3. You're definitely going to want to read all of these pieces in full and reread them and teach them, share them with loved ones, even enemies, share them with everyone you know. And with that being said, that's the end of our event.
Yes, thanks everybody. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Leslie. And see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.